Welcome back to the Everyday English channel. I'm Sarah, and I'm here with Michael. Today we're going to share a story about a job interview that went completely wrong.
Hi everyone! Job interviews can be stressful, and sometimes things don't go as planned. But you know what? These experiences make great stories later, and they're perfect for practicing English.
Exactly! And today I'm going to tell you about the most embarrassing job interview I've ever had. It was so bad that I still can't believe it happened.
Oh, this sounds good already. I can't wait to hear this story.
So, this happened about 3 years ago. I was looking for a new job, and I found this amazing position at a tech company called Innovate Tech. It was for a marketing manager position, which was exactly what I wanted.
Sounds perfect. So what made this job so special?
Well, first of all, the salary was incredible, almost double what I was making at my old job. Plus, they offered amazing benefits, flexible working hours, and the chance to work with cutting-edge technology.
Wow, no wonder you really wanted it.
Exactly. So when they called me for an interview, I was over the moon. I spent weeks preparing. I researched the company for hours every day, practiced common interview questions, and even bought a new professional outfit.
It sounds like you did everything right, so what could possibly go wrong?
Oh, Michael, everything that could go wrong did go wrong. So the interview was scheduled for 10 a.m. on a Tuesday. I woke up extra early, had a healthy breakfast, and left my apartment with plenty of time to spare.
Good planning. You were being really professional about it.
I thought I was. I arrived at their office building 15 minutes early. It was this beautiful, modern glass building downtown. I was feeling confident, but also really nervous. My hands were shaking a little.
Yeah, that's totally normal before a big interview.
So I went to the coffee shop next door to calm my nerves and grab a quick coffee. I ordered a large cappuccino and sat down to review my notes one more time. I was feeling pretty good about myself.
Sounds like a smart idea to calm down before the interview.
Well, that's when the first disaster happened. I was so focused on my notes that I didn't realize how close my coffee cup was to the edge of the table. When I stood up to leave, I accidentally knocked it over with my elbow.
Oh no.
Coffee went everywhere, all over the table, all over my notes, and worst of all over my brand new white blouse. I had this huge brown stain right across the front of my shirt.
That's terrible timing. What did you do?
I panicked. I ran to the bathroom and tried to clean it with paper towels and water, but that just made it worse. Now I had a coffee stain and a huge wet patch on my shirt. Plus, I was running late.
So you went to the interview with a stained shirt?
I had no choice. I tried to cover it with my blazer, but you could still see the edges of the stain. I walked into the Innovate Tech building feeling completely embarrassed and flustered.
I can imagine how nervous you must have felt.
The receptionist was very nice, though. She told me to wait in the lobby, and after a few minutes, this woman came out to get me. She introduced herself as Jennifer, the HR manager.
Okay, so far so good.
She seemed really professional and friendly. She shook my hand and said, "Welcome to Innovate Tech. We're so excited to meet you." And this is where I made my second big mistake.
What happened?
I was so nervous and distracted by the coffee stain that when I tried to say the company name, I completely messed it up. Instead of saying Innovate Tech, I said Innovative Tech. It came out all wrong.
Oh, wow. You mispronounced the company name?
Yes, I said something like, "Thank you so much for this opportunity at Innovative Tech. I'm really excited to be here at Innovative Tech." I said it wrong twice.
And did she notice?
She gave me this strange look, but she was too polite to correct me. She just smiled and said, "Right, well, let's go to the conference room." I could tell she was confused.
So things were already going badly, but surely the actual interview went better.
Oh, Michael, it got so much worse. We sat down in this beautiful conference room with a huge window overlooking the city. Jennifer started with some basic questions, and I thought, okay, I can handle this.
What kind of questions did she ask?
She asked me the classic question, tell me about yourself. I had practiced this answer so many times, but for some reason, my mind went completely blank. I started talking, but nothing I said made sense.
What did you say?
I said something like, well, I'm Sarah, and I really like marketing, and I have a dog named Biscuit, and I studied business, and I once won a pie eating contest in college, and I just kept rambling about completely irrelevant things.
You mentioned a pie eating contest in a job interview?
I know, I don't know why that came out of my mouth. Jennifer was trying to be polite, but I could see she was getting more and more confused. Finally, she interrupted me and said, okay, that's interesting. Let's move on.
Oh no. What did you say next?
Then she asked me about my previous work experience. This should have been easy because I had great experience, right? But again, I completely messed it up.
How?
Instead of talking about my marketing experience, I started talking about this part-time job I had in college working at a pizza restaurant. I went into this long story about how I learned customer service by dealing with angry customers who complained about their pizza toppings.
That's not exactly relevant to a marketing manager position.
Not at all. And then, to make it worse, I said, marketing is just like making pizza. You need the right ingredients, and you have to know what your customers want. Jennifer just stared at me.
I can't believe this is getting worse, but surely that was the worst part.
Oh, no, Michael. The worst part was still coming. Jennifer said, well, we'd like to see a short presentation about how you would market our new product. Did you prepare something?
And you had prepared something, right?
Yes, I had spent days working on this amazing PowerPoint presentation. I was actually excited because this was my chance to redeem myself. I opened my laptop, connected it to their projector, and started my presentation.
Okay, this sounds promising.
I got through the first 2 slides successfully. I was explaining my marketing strategy, and I could see that Jennifer was finally looking interested. I thought, yes, I'm saving this interview.
But then something went wrong?
Right when I was in the middle of explaining my most important point, my laptop made this terrible beeping sound, and then the screen went completely blue, the dreaded blue screen of death.
Your computer crashed during the presentation?
It crashed completely, and not just my laptop screen, the projector was showing the blue screen to Jennifer too. I started pressing buttons frantically, trying to restart it, but nothing worked. I was in full panic mode.
What did you do?
This is the most embarrassing part. Instead of staying calm and professional, I started talking to my computer like it was a person. I said, come on, please work. Don't do this to me now. I really need this job.
You were talking to your laptop?
I even patted it gently and whispered, please, please, please work. Jennifer was watching this whole thing with her mouth open. There was this horrible, awkward silence in the room.
I'm cringing just hearing the story.
Finally, Jennifer said very politely, maybe we should wrap up here. We have all the information we need. I knew that was code for, this interview is over and you definitely didn't get the job.
So how did it end?
I packed up my broken laptop, shook her hand, and apologized profusely. As I was leaving, I said, thank you so much for this opportunity at Innovative Techs, and I mispronounced the company name again.
No way. Even after all that, you still got the name wrong?
I walked out of that building feeling like the biggest failure in the world. I sat in my car for 10 minutes, just staring at myself in the mirror, wondering how I could have messed up so badly.
And I'm guessing you didn't get the job?
They sent me a very polite rejection email 2 days later. It said, "Thank you for your interest in Innovate Tech. While we were impressed with your enthusiasm, we've decided to move forward with other candidates."
Well, at least they mentioned your enthusiasm.
I guess that's one way to look at it. But you know what? Even though it was the most embarrassing experience of my life, I learned so much from that interview. It taught me the importance of staying calm under pressure.
That's a great attitude. And I bet you never made those same mistakes again.
Never. Now I always double check company names, bring backup copies of everything, and most importantly, I always have a backup outfit just in case I spill something.
Smart planning. Now, let's review some useful vocabulary from Sarah's story that our listeners can use when talking about job interviews or telling their own stories.
Great idea. Let's start with nervous. This describes the feeling you have before something important. I was so nervous before the interview. You can also say anxious or worried.
Right. And awkward, this describes uncomfortable or embarrassing situations. It was so awkward when I mispronounced the company name.
First impression is really important too. This means the initial opinion someone forms about you. I wanted to make a good first impression. Unfortunately, I made a terrible first impression.
And when something goes wrong, you can say, I messed up. This means you made a mistake. I really messed up that interview.
Another useful phrase is, "I didn't know what to say." This expresses being speechless or confused. When my computer crashed, I didn't know what to say.
Actually, before we wrap up, I think we should talk about some more useful expressions that you can use when things go wrong. Sarah's story is full of great examples of how to describe disasters and mistakes.
That's a great point. Let's talk about some expressions for describing accidents and mishaps. When I spilled the coffee, I could have said, "I knocked over my cup," or "I accidentally spilled coffee all over myself."
Right. And when something unexpected happens, we often use phrases like out of nowhere or all of a sudden. For example, all of a sudden, my computer crashed, or out of nowhere, everything went wrong.
Another important phrase is "in the middle of." This describes when something interrupts what you're doing. I was in the middle of my presentation when my laptop crashed. You can also say "right when I was." Right when I was explaining my main point, everything went wrong.
And let's not forget about expressions for panic and stress. Sarah used some great ones. I panicked means you lost control because of fear. You can also say, I freaked out. I was in full panic mode, or I completely lost it.
When you want to express that you're trying to fix a bad situation, you can say, "I tried to redeem myself," or "I was hoping to turn things around." Unfortunately, in my case, I just made things worse. I dug myself deeper into trouble.
Perfect. And that brings us to our final challenge for today. We've covered so much vocabulary and so many useful phrases. Now it's time to put them all together.
Your homework is to prepare 2 versions of a story about a challenging experience. First, tell the funny, detailed version like I did today. Then, practice telling the professional version that shows what you learned. This is great practice for job interviews and networking.
Remember, stories are one of the best ways to improve your English. They help you practice past tenses, sequencing events, and expressing emotions. Plus, everyone loves a good story.
And don't worry if you make mistakes while telling your story. Remember, I made plenty of mistakes in that interview, but it became a great story to share. That's how we learn and improve.
Sarah, do you have any advice for our listeners about job interviews?
Absolutely. First, always have a backup plan. Bring multiple copies of your resume, save your presentation in different formats, and test your technology beforehand. I learned this the hard way. Also, practice saying the company name out loud several times before you go.
Those are excellent tips. And what about managing stress during the interview itself? Many of our listeners get nervous when speaking English in professional situations.
Great question. If something goes wrong, take a deep breath and stay calm. It's okay to say, "Let me take a moment to collect my thoughts," or "I apologize, could we try that again?" Interviewers appreciate honesty and composure more than perfection.
Thanks for sharing that hilarious and cringe-worthy story with us, Sarah. And thank you all for listening to the Everyday English channel. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone. Keep practicing your English. And remember, even the worst experiences can become great stories later.